Taiwan. I'm Ethan Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's military says 24 Chinese aircraft were operating around the country on Wednesday. The planes were spotted north, west, and south of Taiwan. Of the group of planes, 11 flew in the country's ADIZ, or Air Defense Identification Zone, which is not Taiwan's airspace, but is used as a security buffer. Taiwan's military says it was monitoring the situation. Just how the country's legislature will function when it comes into session on February 1st remains unclear, as no parties have an absolute majority, and neither of the two main opposition parties have made it clear who they'll be working with. Zhang Van Triest reports.
The 2024 election may be over, but the question of what comes next isn't settled. The opposition Kuomintang and Taiwan People's Party may have lost the presidential race, but if they join forces in the legislature, they could hold a majority. Some in the Kuomintang have floated the idea of a joint speakership, with a Kuomintang speaker and a Taiwan People's Party member serving as their deputy.
你如果说合作，你加起来有62席，那是很大力量，在立法院非常重要的。你不过半，你跟5席是一样的啊，没有差别啊。从正副院长开始。 建立一个合作的模式。
But the two parties already tried and failed to form a joint presidential ticket, and the idea of a joint speakership too has seemingly fallen apart before it even got off the ground. The Kuomintang's most likely candidate for speaker, Han Kuo-yu, has named a fellow Kuomintang member as his preferred deputy. Taiwan People's Party leader Ko Wen-je is keeping whatever plans he may have close to his chest.
候选人要有政见发表啊，就是说，你希望怎样？所以不急的，还有2个礼拜，给大家思考一下。
With the new legislature starting its session February 1st, there's little time to negotiate. But the Kuomintang is distracted by post-election squabbling and questions over its future leadership. There are calls inside the party for Chair Eric Ju to step down over the party's performance, calls that he's rejecting.
我可以一走了之，毫无眷恋。但是我听到更大的声音，要求我要坚定地留下来，扛下来。 不可以一走了之，轻痛仇快。
All this leaves is a series of questions. Whether the Kuomintang is entering a power struggle, whether the Kuomintang and TPP can bridge their differences, and who will end up on top in the legislature. Delphine Chen and John Van Triest for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan will soon have a new president, but up against a divided legislature, he may have trouble pushing through his party's controversial nuclear power plan. Sully Jensen has more.
Taiwan will soon have a new leader, but among his first battles will be an old one: what to do about nuclear power on the island. President-elect Lai Ching-te of the Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, is firmly anti-nuclear, and his party, which has been in power for the last 8 years, advocates for a nuclear-free homeland by 2025. But the opposition Kuomintang and Taiwan People's Party are pro-nuclear energy, and now these parties together hold a slight majority in the country's legislature, meaning the use of nuclear power may continue longer than the DPP had planned.
国会做出什么样的决定，台电是公营事业，台电会 follow 政府跟国会的决定。
Reliant on imports for virtually all its energy needs, Taiwan generates very little of its own power, only 2.7%, and nuclear energy makes up a significant but diminishing part of that. Of the country's 4 nuclear power plants, 2 have already been decommissioned and 1 was never finished due to safety and waste management concerns. The last plant running currently provides around 6% of the country's electricity, but it's meant to be taken offline by 2025. Hoping to bolster the country's energy security and self-sufficiency, advocates for nuclear power are pushing to extend the plant's lifespan.
我们一定是赞成延役的啦，乡亲们也大概都是这样啊，7、8成以上都赞成。
But those who oppose it are just as vocal. The use of nuclear power here has long been highly political, and environmentalists believe that politicians aren't seriously considering the technicalities.
I don't really feel like we're having a substantive debate on, clean energy in Taiwan around nuclear. It feels like a wedge issue that the political parties are using to galvanize support, but it's not really like an academic discussion of, is this the right pathway for Taiwan?
Ultimately, the future of nuclear power in Taiwan will depend on whether the opposition parties can cooperate in the legislature. Only then might they be able to overturn the new president's vision for a no-nuclear homeland. John Su and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's judicial authorities say it's still unclear whether citizen judges give more severe or lenient sentences. Citizen judges have sat on more than 100 cases since Taiwan launched the system a year ago, but not enough of those cases have closed for trends to emerge. The system allows 6 members of the public to rule on some cases and decide sentencing alongside 3 professional judges, but their deliberations are confidential. And some lawyers believe professional judges still have an outsized effect. TSMC is reporting flat fourth-quarter earnings for 2023. In its latest quarterly earnings report, the chipmaker posted almost $20 billion in revenue, down 1.5% from a year earlier, but still better than market expectations. The figure was up almost 14% compared to the previous quarter. TSMC says advanced chips accounted for the majority of its revenue. The company forecasts revenue of about $18 billion for the first quarter of this year. Travelers could be in for a bumpy ride as a major Taiwanese pilot union is threatening to strike over the upcoming Lunar New Year holiday. The Taoyuan Union of Pilots says it expects its members will pass a motion to strike before the holiday begins in February. Lunar New Year is a major holiday in Taiwan and sees some of the highest passenger volumes of the year. The union says EVA hasn't raised salaries in over a decade and accuses the airline of illegally hiring foreign pilots. The union has members from major Taiwanese airlines, EVA Airways and China Airlines, among others. In a national first, a Taiwanese satellite has photographed itself in space. 2 images released by National Cheng Kung University show the Linear 1 CubeSat in low Earth orbit. The university worked with other schools in Taiwan to create the research satellite. They say the photos show that it's fully operational just 1 month after its launch. Sea urchins are a delicacy in Taiwan, but as Laura Stewart reports, farmers are having to find new ways to expand the industry as climate change threatens their habitats.
Small, spherical and spindly. These sea urchins are being farmed in Taidong County on Taiwan's eastern coast. They usually grow on rocks on the seafloor off Taiwan's Penghu Island, and they're considered quite the delicacy. But overfishing, rising temperatures and passing typhoons have killed populations and disrupted the domestic sea urchin market. Now, this indoor farming experiment run by Taiwan's Agriculture Ministry could be a solution. It's providing a safe place for the creatures to thrive.
一方面提供稳定的水温，还有这些稳定的食物给它。那另外一方面呢，也可以降低外面所带来的这些污染。
One basket here can grow about 10 sea urchins. They cling to the gaps in the basket and can safely feed on seaweed. Farmers are trying to be as energy and space efficient as possible, using solar panels to provide shade as well as generate the electricity needed to run the tanks.
这样子的环境之下，它的单位面积是受到限制的，所以我们必须要去想办法去增加它单位面积之内它可以获得的效益。
Any excess electricity generated is sold to Taiwan's state power company, helping boost farmers' incomes. This style of farming is expected to provide ample supply for Taiwan's sea urchin market, and farmers say they'll next move on to cultivate other marine animals. It's a low-cost and energy-efficient model that could help the country expand its fisheries. Alex Chen and Laurel Stewart for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching today's What's Up Taiwan. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care, and I'll see you next time.